Good evening, everyone. I'm super excited. Hello. Thank you guys for signing on a little bit early. We're going to get started right at 7 o'clock, which I think it is. Hello, Elle, and hi, Retta. And I'm really excited because it's my first live stream guest. And you guys know him from his channel, but I'm going to let him introduce himself. But I'm Shahida Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership and helping you confidently buy your first home. And I'm going to let Sir Ashley introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I am Sir Ashley Harrison. I am a investor and realtor and former practicing attorney in the South Carolina region, and I love real estate. So I'm here to talk all things real estate and money, and try to I don't know. I just want to educate
Yes,
as we go on.
Yes, we're going to have to educate as much as possible within this 1 hour. Yes. And if you want more information, definitely, what's your channel? Is Sir Ashley Real Estate?
It is Real Estate Advisor Sir Ashley.
Real Estate Advisor Sir Ashley, and that will be in the comments. There'll also be a link in the title to his channel. So, and we're going to focus a little bit today on fair housing. If you have questions regarding fair housing, we want to talk about that because we have our Celebrating Black History theme. So please go ahead and put any questions related to that in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer that. But I just want to go over what fair housing is, and I'm going to put that up here. So the Fair Housing Act protects people from discrimination when they are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, seeking housing assistance, or engaging in any other housing-related activities. And who it protects, the Fair Housing Act protects or prohibits discrimination in housing because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, and disability. That's why we don't, I always talk about these buyer letters because buyer letters do work. Let me say that.
They do.
But don't put your picture in the buyer letter. Like, we're going to stop. So, they can see your family, they can see your race, all of those things. So a lot of people want to do a little extra on those buyer letters. So we don't want to do that. So let's see. Hello, Nicole Wilson. Hello. Make sure you like this live stream. Maybe we'll do another one if you like it a lot. So maybe hit that like button right now. All righty, let's see. All right, so we don't have any questions yet, Sir Ashley. So tell everybody what's happening in the North Carolina. Are you close to Charlotte?
I am in Charlotte right now.
All right. So tell us, how's the Charlotte market right now for those of you thinking about coming to North Carolina?
One, I tell everybody to come on to North Carolina, come to the Charlotte region. It is still very affordable, although prices have gone up in the last 2-3 years. It's still a seller's market, so it's very competitive for buyers. If you're under the, I'll say, $600,000 price point, it's very competitive. Around 500, you can get away with. You only see about a handful of offers now, but if you're under 5, be ready to put together a very strong offer, and I'm sure talk to a real estate advisor, an agent, to be able to structure your offer as well as possible.
Okay, good. So good to know. And I think in the Atlanta market right now, I feel like under 500,000, like you said, is going to be pretty competitive. The closer you are into the city and into those counties that you want, where have the better school systems, that sort of thing, is still a lot of competition there. People thought they were going to be paying 400,000, but really to compete, you're almost at 500,000. Yeah. Definitely with new construction as well. There are waiting lists in that price range. So it is very competitive in the Atlanta market as well. We're definitely still in a seller's market under that price point. All right. Like I said before, I bought my house in 2016 for $225, and it is 7 bedrooms, 4 full bathrooms, 3 levels. And I'm like, I would sell it for at least 500,000. I'm not selling though. That's why the market's going to be like it is, because I'm not selling my house because I can't find. And that's what the problem is. The resale market is going to remain, I believe. I'll let you chime in. I think it's still going to remain tight because a lot of people are like me, are low interest rates, right? We got our 2% rates. We refinance, and we're not going to be able to find something similar at that price point anymore.
Exactly. And that's what I tell people as well. Unless you actually have to move and you own a home already, you're not going to move, because if you've refinanced in the last 2 years, it doesn't make financial sense to to move, have a higher house payment, and owe more. It just doesn't. So unless you absolutely need to move, actually, I'm in the process of moving right now.
Okay, tell
So
us about that. Why? Where you move? Are you staying in North Carolina?
I'm staying in the Charlotte region.
Okay.
I'm going right across the border, right on the border of North and South Carolina, in Fort Mill, Tegakay area of South Carolina. And I'm moving for the reason a lot of people move to, is schools. It has some of the best schools in the area, and we were perfectly happy. Are perfectly happy where we are. However, if the pandemic did anything, it highlighted the need for strong teachers and the impact it has on the youth.
Yeah.
So while we loved our community, loved the area, we just, for our kids, we're moving to a better school district.
And that's what a lot of parents do. I know when we moved here when my son was starting kindergarten
Yeah,
because we wanted, good schools, and we wanted stability as well. We didn't
yeah,
want to have to take them in and out of schools because we both grew up in pretty much going to the same school and having those same friends and those same, just having that community feel. So we really valued that. But you're making a decision that a lot of people are making.
yeah.
Are you doing new construction?
No, that is a struggle all in of itself. I help tons of clients get new construction, and one, it's a waiting game. So right now, I have somebody going to contract this week, and you're waiting 8 to 11 months for it to be built.
Yeah.
And so you have that, and then it could get delayed even further because of not just supply shortages, but workers.
Okay.
Getting skilled workers on site consistently has been a challenge for a lot of builders, at least in this area.
All right. So we have our first question. I'm going to give this one to Sir Ashley.
Yes,
Retta's asking, is now a good time to purchase investment properties?
it is always a good time to purchase investment properties. Always. Reason why is, well, a couple reasons. Is I tell everyone it's always a good time to find a great deal. So while I don't know what your parameters are for an investment property, but general rule, as long as it cash flows at least $250 a month, it's a solid investment. Solid investment is paying for itself, and you're not really worried about the short term cash flow. It's more about the long term equity. And then,
Give them your quote, Sir Ashley. Give them the quote that you told me.
yes, it is. Everybody's wondering or worrying about if now's a good time to buy. And instead of trying to time the market, you have to focus on your time in the market. Now, in the 80s, people weren't talking about if it was a good time to buy when interest rates were, I don't know if you cursed, 15% or whatnot.
I do not curse.
I was about to drop the F word.
Yeah.
So it's about 15%. You don't hear those people complaining right now. Why?
Right.
Because it was the time in the market. They had 30 years worth of equity, 40 years almost worth of equity, and they're not worried about that 15% interest rate. So it's a long-term play. Real estate is unlike all those other investments that you see trading and stocks and all that. It really is a long-term buy and hold.
Okay. All right. We have another. Thank you, Retta, for the question. I'm take that one out. We have another question talking about Charlotte. They heard you. They probably didn't hear everything you said because asking for 350 or lower. It says, what is a good place in Charlotte to live with about 350K? I don't have to worry about the school system. Before you answer that, I want to say, for those of you with no kids, you still need to worry about the school system as far as your property value. I would say that. So even when you don't have kids, you don't plan on having kids, your kids are grown, the school system does have an impact on your property value. So it's something that you do want to at least be knowledgeable about when you're purchasing a home, even if you don't have children. But you answer that question about 350 in Charlotte, because if you got a house for 350, I'm coming down there and buying it.
So are we talking about a house or a townhouse? Townhouses I can find.
Okay.
A house in Charlotte for under 350 is going to be tough. Why? Because they're going to list it at 350, but because it is very competitive, you're going to get offers around 375, even 400. That just happened to me this past fall. So what you're really asking, if you're looking for a house around 350, you're looking at 300.
Okay.
Because it's going to get bid up. And at that point, it's just no, I wouldn't say a good place. You're going to be on the outskirts of Charlotte. You're going to be on the outskirts.
You're not going to be like close to Charlotte.
I say look at Harrisburg, look in Gaston County, even Union County. Monroe is a very good place. Union County has some of the best schools in the area. That's where I was considering. It's between right on the border of South Carolina and North Carolina or Union County. So has some good deals in Union County.
Has that been your recommendation? I know I've said it videos on my channel where people thought they were going to be really close in or they were going to be in certain neighborhoods to start looking a little bit further out.
I've had that tough conversation with two people today. They wanted to move to Charlotte, and in their price point, I'm not here to dash anybody's dreams or hopes. We can accomplish what you want. It's just going to be 45 minutes out, maybe 50 minutes out. And you can get that home you want in the twos, actually. So it's possible. You just might have to travel that distance.
Okay. I want to talk about something. I'm going to take some more questions also, but I want to try to stay on fair housing as much as possible since we're that's our focus for today. What do you say to people who say that not taking FHA is discriminatory? Because that's been a big question. I don't think it is. Okay, let me say this. All offers have to be presented because I know Sir Ashley and we don't just represent buyers. We represent sellers as well. So if somebody presents an FHA, if somebody offers and they're an FHA FHA buyer, and you have multiple offers, in my mind, okay, I'm representing the seller at that point sometimes. And I have to tell them some of the drawbacks of FHA loans if they're not knowledgeable about that. And sometimes if they have a lot of other choices, some of those other loan types carry less risk. And I'm specifically talking about the mandatory clause that says that if this house doesn't appraise, you can walk away and get your full earnest money back. That's a huge risk for a seller. So on the seller side, that, I don't think it's discriminatory, but, you still want to have your offer in consideration. But, that is going to be something that's not going to be as favorable for FHA buyers. But I also know that a lot of FHA buyers, almost 80%, I forgot what the specific statistic is, but they use FHA loans. So a lot of first-time home buyers use FHA loans, and a lot of minority first-time home buyers use FHA loans. So it feels a little bit heavier, like they're discriminating against not the buyer, but discriminating against the finance type. But I just want to see what your thoughts on FHA.
I have to echo what you said. It's not necessarily the buyer. It is the so the government, the FHA loans or whatnot, they put overlays on things to where that's what makes it less desirable or less attractive. And even when you talk about, I might be deviating a little bit, but the same thing with FHA loans, with down payment assistance programs. When you put that in your offer, those overlays makes it difficult for the seller to really consider your offer because they're getting other offers that don't have those stipulations on them. And just like if you were in their shoes, if you have a $350,000 offer, no appraisal, contingency or anything like that, don't have to worry about, and with down payment assistance, a lot of times has to be in a certain condition, don't have to worry about fixing anything up, or you get a $350,000 offer, but it had the appraisal contingency, and if an inspection report came back that wasn't acceptable, they would have to fix things up or fix the roof up or different things like that. The seller's like, I don't want to have to worry about or deal with that. I really want to help this person out. But when it comes down to it, I have to look out for me and my family and put us in the best position possible for our next move. Right. And that's the issue, the overlays that the FHA has and the down payment assistance has. It's not necessarily discriminating against the person.
Right. I think it just feels like that to them, especially when you've been denied FHA financing. And I tell FHA buyers, it will take you in this market. It's going to take you longer but it's still possible. We still close FHA financing, people that are FHA and new construction typically doesn't care. So that's a route you can go, but it is more competitive. If you have FHA financing, I would definitely try to see if you can get approved for conventional financing. That's always going to be usually a little bit of a stronger offer. All right, I'm trying to go through your questions, but go ahead, Sir Ashley.
Oh man, sorry. I don't know what just happened there.
You got all that light in your face.
So what is also frustrating is the fact that when the 30-year mortgage got put into place in the 1930s and everything like that, the people that took advantage of FHA loans didn't look like you and I. Right. And it wasn't frowned upon. That was just the acceptable practice. And that was the acceptable practice for 30, 40 years.
Right.
But now in this market, it's a seller's market. It is not frowned upon, but it's not seen as desirable in FHA loan because of all the overlays that are in place. So
right. And if he doesn't, go ahead.
No, I've said, so that's just the frustrating part when like it has benefited a group of people for decades, and now another group of people trying to take advantage of it, and it just doesn't work in their favor right now.
Right. And if you don't know what he's talking about, when FHA loans, like shortly after the Great Depression, FHA loans were made to help primarily the white population, or almost 100% the white population, obtain housing, because this was the first time the government was backing mortgages, but they were not. The underwriting rules, you could not, definitely excluded Black people from using FHA loans. And then in this description of this video, if y'all want to have more information about the history of housing in America, about redlining, how specifically lenders wouldn't lend in certain areas to Black people, I have 2 links below to really, really good videos with really, really good information. I wanted to try to spend as much time answering your questions, but yes, be very knowledgeable about FHA was not meant for Black people to begin with when they first implemented it. And it took things like the Fair Housing Act and that sort of thing.
It took Martin Luther King passing.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, passing.
It took him passing for
them to pass it.
Yes.
Took him passing for them to even pass the law, right?
Exactly.
All right, so I wanted to bring this up because it's not really a question, but Naya or Nia, as a first-time home buyer, single mother of 3, making 50, so I'm assuming 50,000 a year, which I think the average income right now is probably in the 60s in America right now. So she's making a little bit lower than that, depending on where you live. And this market is really discouraging. So let's try to put our little thinking caps on, Sir Ashley. What would you say to people making the average income that have children that feel like home ownership may be getting further and further away from them? And then I'll give you 1 minute because I have an idea.
No, I have. This is something that I think about regularly, because that was my mother. I had a few more kids, right?
Right.
So what I would tell you is to get uncomfortable. I know you're already uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? You're already uncomfortable, but to think outside the box. You're used to, I'm assuming, this is me just assuming, Ms. Stewart, you're used to living in a certain area. And it's discouraging when you look around that area. You might need to go outside that area to find a home that you can call your own. So whether it be moving 50 minutes away, or even maybe in a different part of the country, because 50,000 in certain parts of the country is different, depending on where you're located. If you can make 50 in certain parts of Ohio, that is very affordable compared to 50 in LA or 50 in Miami, or even parts of Texas. So it's just one of those things to where I feel like you have to you have to be uncomfortable for yourself and think long-term. What is best for your kids, your 3 kids? And it might just be moving.
Right. And I've told this story on my channel. I'm from the Bronx. I don't know, y'all don't hear my accent very often, but I'm from the Bronx, and my mom left New York, right? And she moved to Atlanta because she knew that she wasn't going to be able to own a home with home prices in New York. Okay. So she was making decent money in New York, but decent money in New York doesn't allow you to buy property usually. Okay. You have to make a lot of money in New York. And she was divorcing my dad. So we were moving. So your income was going to be less. But she made that move, which was very difficult. Everything, she had no family in Atlanta or anything, but she made that move from New York to Atlanta, which a lot of people are doing that. But the benefit that the other people have that my mom didn't have at that time is remote work. Like she couldn't take her New York money and move to Atlanta. But guess what? A lot of people are taking their New York money and moving to Charlotte. They're taking their New York money and moving to Atlanta. So you have to take your $50,000 wherever money and say, okay, what's that spot for me that makes my $50,000 stretch a little bit more? And it is a very uncomfortable. I know my mom didn't even have a job when she came down here. Honestly, like she, got a job after a while, but she made that leap and she was able to buy a home maybe a year or 2 years after we got to Atlanta. Yeah. So I second that. And you have to be a little bit more creative and not just say, I'm just going to rent forever, because you have to think about those 3 children. And sometimes maybe you'll do it for 10 years. You'll build that equity and then move to another place. You'll be able to, make that money work for you over time. All right. We have a super chat.
Yes.
Ashley, let's see what this question is. All right. We got a student loan question. We would love student loan questions. Let me try to see if I can pull it up on the screen. Okay. Student loans. Okay, Shell says, if you have a student loan in default, but no longer on your credit report, can you get approved for a conventional loan, credit score 750? What do you think? And I'll try to see. We're not lenders, by the way.
Yeah. So I am not a lender. However, I will be taking the test. I told you, didn't I tell you?
No, you didn't tell me, but tell everybody. We need to. I might need a third source of income. Tell me about it.
So I am actually, I'm just finishing up the course to be a mortgage loan officer. And I'm taking the test. It was supposed to be end of this month. Life happened. It will be, and I'm trying to move and everything. So It will be sometime in March. So I will be a mortgage loan officer. And to answer your question though, is I would, in default, no longer in credit. You got to get it out of default for one. Okay. You got to get it out of default, and it's very simple. You can just go on a payment plan to where you can pay as little as. I have clients that was on a forbearance or whatever it was, got it out and paying $25 a month. So as long as you're making something on it and it can be reported on your debt to income, that's ideal, because if it's not, they'll just have to use a certain percentage of your student loan as a monthly bill, even though you may not be paying that amount.
Like your income-based plan or something like that. Yeah. I think what she's saying too is, how will they know, right? Because you're saying it's her credit score is good. She's not showing up on her credit report. And a lot of these, how will they know? And then you get to underwriting and they know. Like they figure
the thing
that
is,
stuff out.
What you don't want to happen is you skate underneath the radar when you go under contract, when the home's being built. And then when it's time to lock in that rate and to get approved, you're about 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from getting the home, you get a red flag come up. And then you've already given your due diligence money, you've given your deposit. And that deposit, I mean, it's anywhere from 5 to, I've seen 100, but let's say $5,000 to $20,000. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to risk losing that because you're hoping you slide underneath the radar. I say, get it out of default, get an income-based payment plan where you're paying $20, $30 a month, and then just be good.
Yeah, I agree, because, and I have a video about the reasons why your loan can be denied after you go under contract. Please watch that video, because I think a lot of times people do think, okay, they won't see it, they won't know about it. And it's always like the IRS and child support, in my opinion, that pops up and it goes on your debt to income ratio, and you're denied that loan at the last minute because you think nobody's going to know, right? Yep. So yeah, you definitely want to not do that. Let me see if there's any other questions. So please put your questions in the comment. You have 2 brains tonight, like 2 brains to answer your questions. Okay, let me see. This question is an Atlanta question. want to buy a house we rent in Metro Atlanta. The owner is thinking about selling. And I like this idea. Everybody needs to go to their landlord now and say, are you considering selling? Because at least that gives you an opportunity. If they put it on the market, they're going to probably get more than you would ever ask them, more than you would ever offer. So you want to, if you can get that locked in where they'll sell it to you and never put their house on the market, that's definitely an advantage, an opportunity for you to take. But we want to buy a house in Metro Atlanta. Owners thinking about selling, thinking about getting an inspection to know what to offer the owner. I think you mean an appraisal, not an inspection, right? I would think. So he's thinking about getting an appraisal. That's really what you need, an appraisal, or you need an agent maybe to do a consult or a CMA for you so they can estimate what the house is worth and then offer that to the seller. Because I'm sure the seller, before they sell it, may do their own kind of investigation of what they think it's worth. Because what happens, what Sir Ashley was saying, you can put the house on the market for $400,000, but it's probably going to sell for $450,000, depending on the demand. So you want to try to avoid them putting it on the market. So any other advice? I would say you need an appraisal, or you need to contact an agent, even if they just handle the transaction. Like you pay them a transaction fee to kind of tell you what you should offer, make the offer happen, get you with a closing attorney. That would be my advice. What do you have, Sir Ashley?
I totally agree. I would, before even getting the appraisal, I would talk to a real estate agent, a realtor, and see what the CMA, comparative market analysis, is like as far as for that property. So you can offer, or when you negotiate with the owner, something competitive. You want it competitive because they're not going to probably give it to you at a discount, but you want to get to it before, you want it on sale before it goes for sale.
Right. So, yes. Definitely. And locked in and under contract and binding, because if they find out later, because you never know how, some people just don't want the hassle of putting it on the market. You're already there. You already live there. It could just be an easy thing for them to do. Make it easy. But like you said, don't try to lowball them because they know, it's a seller's market. All right.
And be sure you can mention if the hot water heater isn't working properly, if that faucet's leaking. You can highlight those things when you're talking and negotiating, but be realistic.
All right. And tell them you'll take it as is. You've already been living there. So give them some incentive to,
to not have to fix it up and just go. Yep. I 100% agree.
All right. We are sponsored tonight and all week by Credit Sesame. So I'm going to tell you about Credit Sesame. Credit Sesame allows you to monitor your credit for free. Credit monitoring is an important part of the home buying process. Credit Sesame offers a free digital debit account, Sesame Cash, which is the first free all-in-one account that can help automatically grow your credit score. With Sesame Cash's credit builder, the money you already have and the daily debit purchases you make can now build your credit history. You're able to check your score every day to track your growth, and you'll get paid cash rewards as your score goes up. Credit Sesame already helps people monitor and improve their credit with no credit check required. Now, even millions of Americans that have very little credit history can build it using Sesame Cash's credit builder account. Credit Sesame can help you build your credit automatically without your traditional credit card. Sesame Cash gives you all the credit building benefits of a credit card with your debit. There's no credit check and absolutely no fees or interest. You just buy the stuff you would normally buy with your debit card, and they automatically report your purchases to the bureaus to help you build your credit history and score each month. Since it works with your Sesame Cash account, you only spend money that you already actually have, so you're not going in debt. Credit Sesame also pays you as your score goes up, $10 for every 10-point increase in the first 30 days. Sesame Cash Credit Builder grows your score and pays you as it goes up. Review the website for full terms and conditions. Thank you so much, Credit Sesame, and the link is in the description. All righty, Sir Ashley, let's see if we have any more questions. Let's see. Okay. Let's talk about this. While I'm looking for another question, we're sticking with our fair housing right now.
Let's do it.
Fair housing right now. What do you say to agents, and I know that as real estate agents, we're not supposed to steer people to certain neighborhoods, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to, just do anything that would, put them in one area that they didn't really ask for.
Yes.
So when agents, what do you recommend to clients when they feel like the agents are just telling them certain neighborhoods that they don't want to be in? They're like, you would be good in this neighborhood, or you would, this matches your vibe, right? I know where you should live. What do you say to that? Like, what should be the buyers or the response to that?
Your response would be one. Trying to see how do you say it PC.
Hey, professional. Yeah, we can't begin.
Exactly. I would
what do you call it? Blocked by YouTube.
No, I would say thank you for your recommendation. However, I'm sure as the buyer, you've done your own research and you just highlight, hey, I would like to be in this area and in this area. And if they don't get the hint, if they still keep trying to like, no, you need to be over here, you have to realize that they work for you. So you can let them go at any point. Even if you signed a contract, you can let them know, like I would like to terminate the relationship and find somebody that you're comfortable working with. Because if they're not helping you achieve your goal, there's absolutely no reason for you to be doing business with them.
Okay. Good answer. And as agents, we're supposed to say, well, where do you want to go? Like, we're supposed to tell you that now. Yep. If to say, and this happens to me a lot of times, they're like, I'm qualified. Like Alpharetta is a really expensive neighborhood or city in Atlanta, and they're qualified for like 200,000. I want to live in Alpharetta. Like that's not going to happen. So that's not discrimination. You can't afford to live there. There are no listings in that price range. So don't, be really realistic about what, like you said, do your research first to know what the average home price is in these neighborhoods that you may want to live in. So we have kind of a fair housing question. Are there any discrimination in 100% financing? And what are the score requirements? So I'll take this and I'll let you just add anything to it. Now, 100% financing isn't discriminatory, but there is with 100% financing, no down payment, you're going to get a higher interest rate almost all the time. So that's not discriminatory, but it has to be, that might make sense for you to save money on the down payment, but you're going to pay a higher interest rate. I would always, if you're, get multiple quotes, maybe a couple of different quotes on 100% financing. But I know the people that I closed that did 100% financing, when rates were in the 3s, they were getting rates in the 4s. But they were 100% financed. And that worked out for some of them because some of the 100% financing also didn't have PMI. So, they did the numbers and they liked that and they kept more money in their pocket. Long term, it may not be the best thing because if you're going to stay in the house for a long time, you'll probably be paying more in interest, but there's a break even point at some point. So if there's like 8 years until you kind of, it breaks even, then that's worth it to some people. So what do you think, Sir Ashley?
No, I agree with what your answer, with what you said. I don't think it's just discriminatory. It's all about cost benefit analysis. You have to figure out what works best for you. As far as if you want less money out of pocket, then yes, you're gonna have to pay that higher interest rate, typically.
All righty, let's see. All right, let's see. Single mom. I think we kind of answered this question for the single moms, what you should be doing. Let's answer this question. I think this is a very much misunderstood. Does the appraisal include an inspection? You want to take that one?
I can. No. Short answer is no. Right. Appraisal is for the bank. The person the entity that's lending you money, they're going to appraise that property to make sure it's worth lending on. And what the worth is to lend the 80 or 95 or 97 or 96.5% on. So that is what the appraisal is. The inspection is something that you should do as soon as you get the property under contract. I encourage all my clients to get multiple inspections, to get the normal home inspection. You want to get a pest inspection. And depending on the foundation, at least here in North Carolina, you might want to get a radon inspection. So it's totally different. It does not encompass, it's not the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. The FHA, just because they send an inspector out and they might say like you need a little repair or something like that, that is not an inspection. Like if you, I've been there when like the FHA appraiser comes, like they will spend like 5 minutes in that house, flushing the toilet, walking around the house, maybe turning on some lights or something. They leave. So it has to be very like draft. They're just making sure it's livable. The house is livable. It's, not in like terrible condition, but yeah, it's not an inspection. They're not doing what a home inspector would do.
Yeah. And the home inspector typically is going to spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours at that home going over all the little things. Typically for a resale home, you're going to get an inspection report at least 15 pages. If not, I've seen them up to 100 pages.
Yes.
And a lot of it is going to be minute things that aren't going to matter, but you'll rather know about it than not know about it. And then you can negotiate if need be once you have all that information at hand.
Okay, good. I'm going to take that question. Thank you for that question. And I'm going through, so ask good questions, please, because I am the moderator here tonight.
You're the moderator.
I'm moderating this. So, all right. So somebody asked a great, I want to address this. And I think this is important because we kind of answered it already. You need to get uncomfortable and make some other decisions. But let's talk about, because I feel like when people say this, they're making 45, like they're going to make 45 their whole life. And in this market, and I'm a testament for this, because I'm telling you, I was teaching part-time. I was teaching full-time 3 years ago. I was teaching part-time 2 years ago. Like when the pandemic started, I was teaching in a high school from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and doing real estate. I was teaching business to high school students and computer science and doing real estate at the same time in hopes, because my teacher salary was fixed. Like I couldn't, say, pay me more because I was on a salary schedule, right? But I did real estate because I knew that was unlimited, right? And I started YouTube to get more real estate business. And so I think a lot of people feel like they're at this salary and they're almost stuck in this salary when there's so many. This is like the biggest opportunity, right? And I'm not like a millennial, right? So this is the biggest opportunity for a lot of you to make money doing something from home, from, doing DoorDash. There's so many opportunities to make more than what your employer is giving you. And it's also another opportunity to find a new employer, particularly in this market where people are begging for people to work for them. You need to figure out, okay, what are my skills? And am I being paid adequately for those skills? Or do I need more skills to get paid more? Because inflation's not going anywhere very quickly. Everything's more expensive. So while I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make my $45,000 work, right, and kind of get that budget together, I'm also wanting to spend some of my time monthly and how I can make more than $45,000, more than that. Any chime in on that? On income?
No, you are.
Ashley, you got a YouTube channel. You trying to be a mortgage lender, and you do real estate, and you have a real estate team. So you already have these multiple sources of income, right? So what do you feel when people say, "Well, I'm only making this"?
I had this conversation with my brother recently. We limit ourselves. We get caught in a box thinking that it has, because we're told it has to go a certain way, right, or this is what other people have done, where not everybody had everything we have at our fingertips. Like I get paid to make YouTube videos. Like it's crazy. So no, there's so many options out there. And I tell people, if you're in a job making 45, you may be totally comfortable at that job. However, you might get a raise. You might get a 2-3% raise, but I've seen people switch jobs and get a $20,000, $30,000, $60,000 raise in the last 2 years because it is the time of the employee right now. You have a lot of leverage if you have a skill, or if you just are proficient at something, no matter what it is. You may have to leave your current company because, let's be real, your current company isn't going to value you like somebody else will. So you might have to go somewhere else, get uncomfortable for that larger payday.
Okay, I agree. Like this, like you said, the uncomfortableness, because sometimes we do get very comfortable. Like I taught for 14 years and it wasn't even like comfortable. It was, well, this works. I'm off for the summer and I'm doing this, you have to have something that's going to motivate you. And for me, it was my daughter saying, I'm tired of going to ASP. Like I would leave them in school, school would get out at 2:00. I'm not picking them up till 6:00. And my daughter was like, Mommy, I'm tired of going to ASP. And I was like, okay, I'm doing real estate. I'm doing this. If I focus on real estate, I probably can make a lot more money and you don't have to go to ASP and I can pick you up from school. That was really the catalyst that has me on YouTube today, to be honest with you. Otherwise, if my daughter was complaining so much, I probably would still be at that school. I don't know why Reginald Jenkins keeps on giving us $1, but he's not answering a question.
I think he said something. Hold on.
He said something?
I thought he said
sorry.
Something.
Do you see his question?
He said, if I bought a duplex with FHA loan, can I sell one of the units, say, a month later?
That's like a $20 question, Reginald. But we're going to answer his question. Can you click on it? Because I can't click on it.
I can't. Me clicking on it doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything. Okay, so answer his question. Say what his question was, and let's answer it for him.
It's from 7:34. If you can find his name at 7:34
p.m. I'm look for it.
But it says, question is, if I bought a duplex with an FHA loan, can I sell one of the units, say a month later?
Okay.
Technically, yes. But why would you? Only reason why I ask why would you is because I told you real estate is a long-term game. As if you buy a duplex, if you are living in one side and you're having the other side pay for your rent or your mortgage for the entirety, that's a win-win situation. Or let's just say you're renting out, or it's an FHA, so you're living in one side. But let's say if it was a conventional loan, like if you're renting out both units, like that is, at least in the Charlotte area, $2,400 a month forever, at least. So like what return are you going to get somewhere else? Like just selling it for thinking of the short term. I would say,
and can you even sell one side of a duplex?
It's tough. You can go through zoning and get stuff done and all that. It's possible. It's not worth the hassle. And I say it's not just worth the hassle financially. I wouldn't worry about it either. You make much more return long term by keeping it, willing it to your kids in a trust or will, and just keep that in the family.
Yes, and we will be talking about trust and wills on Friday.
There you go. You got the segue.
Jumping the gun on me. Yes. But yeah, I would say for FHA, if you bought it, you have to live in there for at least a year by law, because you're supposed to own or occupy at least one of the units, and then you could, rent out both of them after a year. So, all right, good question, Reginald. All right, let me see if I have any other questions. All right. One was about how to fire your agent. I can't find that now, though.
Yeah, I saw that.
You want to take that? Yeah, I think you've never been fired. You haven't been in real estate long enough.
I fire people all the time.
Right, exactly. I feel like there needs to be a search feature on here, but I can't figure it out. But let's talk about firing your agent, because I always wait to fire people. And then they fire me, and I'm like, dang, I should have fired you first. So that's my bad. Okay. But really, all it is the email. Even if you're under, to me, buyer's brokerage agreement with them, you can email them and say, I really want to find another agent. I would like to terminate our agreement, and they will let you out of your contract. Because it's probably, like you said, we're kind of seeing if you work for us as well. Because sometimes you might be unrealistic. You might be very demanding, especially in this market. You don't want to waste a lot of time with a lot of people. So I really would, when you're thinking about firing your agent, it's always like, is it the market or is it your agent? That's what I'm always asking people, because they're getting frustrated. Like your agent's going to make inventory appear magically or make you have money to cover the appraisal gap. Like we can't make your offer better. Like you're limited by your risk level. You're limited by your finances. So, sometimes it's not your agent. It might just be the limitations of your offer. But all you really need to do is send them an email. I like to have it in writing, because what could happen is if you go back to one of those homes and try to buy it with your cousin Leroy, I'm going to have him represent me on the house that, I showed you. Then they may have already earned that commission. Yeah. And if you're already under contract and try to fire them, they definitely already earned that commission. So you want to think about that first. But what about firing your agent?
No, I totally agree. You get it in writing. An email is perfectly fine. You can do it via text. I say, if you're going to do it, send an email, but also have a phone call. Just because, and I tell people all the time when I let people go sometimes, like, doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just not, we're not going to work.
Not a good
That's
fit.
all. It's not a good fit. So like you might be perfect fit for a team member of mine or something like that. So it's just, I mean, it's all a relationship business. You don't want to be stuck with somebody that you're not vibing with, and they don't want to be stuck with you. So might as well just cut ties.
Gotcha. All right. So fat free for me. Her question is, so to qualify for conventional, do I just fill out a standard loan application and the loan officer determines what loan is the best fit for my situation? Typically, yes. They will figure out what the best fit is for you. And sometimes you may qualify for both, but because the debt to income ratio is more favorable for FHA, you might get qualified for more, and they may say, well, go ahead and do FHA. And I don't think lenders, I'm sure Sir Ashley is going to be excellent at this, but I don't think a lot of lenders explain that well. They'll just say, oh, you're qualified for FHA. They don't talk about why you're not qualified or why conventional may not be best for you. What do you think, Sir Ashley?
I agree. The thing is, it's just that and I'm guilty of this sometimes as well, we are so used to the jargon, the lingo, and just how things happen behind the scenes that we don't take enough time to educate the consumer, which is our client,
Yes.
and why we're doing what we're doing. So
Right.
it's partly because we just are so used to doing things a certain way. And if you have that question, ask. They might not have anybody ask them that question to where they had to explain themselves,
Right.
because they're just used to, okay, let me find the right program for this person and let them know.
Right.
So.
And then you don't know, well, why not qualify? And then you go with your FHA loan all excited, and then nobody wants it.
Yep.
You're like, nobody wants my FHA loan. And then your agent says, well, can you get qualified for conventional? And then you try to have that conversation, but you can ask that up front. We got another super chat. Let's see what they're asking. Maybe they don't have a question.
You're getting blessed. You're getting blessed by Matthew. Thank you.
But if I missed your question, bless Matthew, let me know. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Can I get rid of bless Matthew now? All right. Gotcha. This is not funny, Michelle, but I had to put this up on the screen. I had a realtor just stop returning my phone calls and eventually block me. Okay, just let it go. Y'all got to part ways.
Michelle, what did you do to that realtor?
Right.
What did you do?
They blocked your number. Stop harassing us. Stop harassing us. There's no inventory. That's the thing.
And so you made a very valid point. It comes down as a buyer to your risk tolerance. Like, I can advise you on how I think you should position your offer to win, but if you're not comfortable going to that level of risk or to that whatever I'm advising, don't be mad if your offer doesn't get accepted. Like, I'm telling you this because more times than not, I'm not gonna say I have inside information, but we know what's going on in the market and how to position things. Now, it's totally up to you, but you can't be upset if that person that you are hired to advise you is advising you, you're not listening to their guidance.
Right. Yes. Listen to us. We know. But y'all, like you said, your grandmother know because she bought a house in 1978. Your daddy know because he bought a house 10 years ago. This is a different market. And you need to talk to people who are in this market right now. They have the best of intentions, but they don't know the level of competition in 2020, 2021, 2022. You have to talk to people that are in the market now and that have closed. Like, they don't have the same, like here, like the due diligence, the period for getting your inspections. I had a client tell their dad said, well, I got 10 days. You have 10 days to go look around and get your inspection and do that. I said, nobody's accepting your offer with a 10-day due diligence. Yeah. Maybe they did accept that in 2015. But now you better get in and out because there's a whole line of people that will do it with no inspections, or very short contingencies.
It's all about your comfort level.
Yes. And that's why I have a chart. I don't know if you do. I have a chart that says low risk, medium risk, and high risk. Like, which one you want to do? Like, it's like a little board. Okay, this is how aggressive do you want to be? It's not have nothing to do with me. How aggressive do you want to be? Like, these are all the options. Because we could go in there with zero due diligence, zero appraisal, zero. But if you don't want to go there, let's move back to the middle. But like you said, the chances of your offer getting accepted might be lower if we stay right here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's answer this question. Olivia, hi, Olivia. And please like this live stream. Hit the like button, the like icon. If you want to ever see Sir Ashley on my channel again,
please hit that like button. I want to be joined. I want to join. I want to come back.
Yes, definitely. Hit the like button. All right. So, how do you decrease your DTI quickly to be ready to close in 2023? Good question. And DTI for all of first-time home buyers is debt to income ratio. So I'll give you one way. I'm let Sir Ashley give you another way. Pay off your debt. Pay down your debt. Pay down your debt. If your income doesn't increase, you have to pay down your debt. And I think the biggest thing with debt to income ratios, because student loans are now more manageable with some of the changes, because it used to be student loans. Now it is car payments. Y'all got these expensive car payments. So pay down your debt. That's my advice.
Yeah. I would totally agree. It would be credit card payments, car notes. Try to, if you can, refinance your car to a lower interest payment. That has helped some clients of mine recently. You have to move intentionally, no matter what. And this past 2 years, I've seen a lot of people, and I understand this is not the case for everyone, but I've had a lot of clients be able to pay down a lot of their debt because they got these different checks and stimulus and everything like that, to where they paid down their debt to now they're really ready to move forward and go all in, and they're able to get approved for a higher price point because they paid down their debt.
Yes, agreed, because the stimulus was good in some ways. In some ways, it caused inflation, right? But it did allow some people to pay off stuff. Our student loans, we haven't paid student loans in about 20 months. 20 months. So if you don't have any money, if you're broke right now, like and the people say this, I'm not around anybody that's broke, honestly.
I had a question in one of my last videos. Was like, are you doing better financially now than you were at the beginning of the pandemic? And most people, I had one person in that whole video, has about, I don't know, maybe 12 or 20,000, whatever. One person said they're not doing financially better. The overwhelming majority is like, I'm in a better position financially.
Yeah, because you had at least an opportunity, whether, like you said, if you didn't have any intention about it, but you had an opportunity. If you were paying your student loans, guess what? It's been almost 2 years. Like, we're going on almost 2 years that you haven't had to make a student loan payment. So hopefully you've been saving that money or applying that money to debt to pay that down. Hopefully, like you said, those stimulus checks, if you had a couple of kids, you got 3 stimulus checks and they were pretty significant that you weren't planning on getting. So unless you were like just chilling and buying and upgrading your furniture and buying a new car and doing those things that don't build value, and if you haven't bought a house yet, guess what? You should be sitting on some money at this point. If you're not, you need to reevaluate what you're doing and where you're spending your money, because everything is more expensive. But I always ask people, like, say chicken prices. I shouldn't say chicken on this live stream. I'm not gonna say that. say that prices on steak have gone up significantly. Are you still buying steak? Like, I'm not gonna, when I look at steak now and I have the money to buy the steak, I'm not paying for it. Like, I'm like, this is like, I don't want steak that bad. But, are you doing more vegetables? Are you doing more beans as your protein? Like, how have you made those adjustments if you are in an area where you don't have a lot of money? Have you made that adjustment? Yes, Michelle, don't be laughing at my chicken. I caught myself. Okay. Thank you. I'm not talking about chicken, but y'all know chicken prices have gone up. They have gone up significantly. All right. So I'm going to take, and we're going to talk to Joe's mama. I need to send this to my mom. She's an expert buyer in her eyes and bought a home in the 90s. In the 90s, yes, please forward her this video. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Let's talk about something. What was I in the 90s? I was in high school in the 90s. But let me say this. You could buy in Georgia in the 90s, because my mom did. You could have bought a 4-bedroom on like a half acre for under $100,000 in Georgia in the 90s with no competition. no competition. You just go up there and buy it. Probably, 35, that's like $3,000 down. That's what was happening in the 90s. That's not today.
And that is the most frustrating part is, I know we're going to talk about this probably, hopefully on a future live stream.
Yes, our future live. We have to have a little catchy name, Sir and Shah. Sir and Shah. All right, if you want to see a Sir and Shah, we need to have a catchy name for it, though.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. One of those things that is a little frustrating is that people were getting properties for dirt cheap in the early 90s, even mid 90s, late 90s, and we weren't taking advantage of that. We didn't know to take advantage of that. Personal story is my mom could have bought the duplex we were renting in about 97 for $20,000. She didn't. And we talk about it to this day. The house right now has sold, it sold 2 years ago for, I believe, $150, which still isn't a lot of money. But think about 20 years of rent that you could have been getting if you bought that property for $20,000.
Yes. I mean, I made that mistake. I sold my first house. I wish I would have kept it and rented it out. I sold it and I made like $30,000 and I thought I was rich. I was like, $30,000. I did pay off my student loan with it, but
nice.
And I was able to take that money for my down payment for the next house. But yeah, it was a missed opportunity. I could have just kept that house at the time. We all have learning lessons,
It is. And I mean, to this day, I do as an investor. I was happy flipping houses, and then I realized that's short-term money. You got to think the long game. Ownership, the long game, and we'll talk about it. You don't have to own it in your name. We'll talk
about the future. We'll talk about the long game of real estate in the future.
Yeah.
All right. So, Miss Amin Ra said the Sir and Shah show. The Sir and Shah show. We gotta have something. Okay, this part. Butterfly said, "What's your name?" So tell him your channel, Sir Ashley, because we gotta get his everything up. You gotta make everything up. YouTube money, y'all. Gotta get his YouTube money.
Everything up. It is Real Estate Advisor Sir Ashley. Okay. Real Estate Advisor Sir Ashley.
Yes, and we will have it in the description as well. All right, well, I'm looking for the best questions. Sir Ashley, you want to say anything else to the people? I'm looking for these best questions.
I just want to say to your audience, thank you for being welcoming and the engagement. I really enjoyed myself. So thank you.
This was fun. I'm trying to get my last question. Do you do Divvy? Is Divvy in North Carolina? Divvy, like rent to own? I'm not gonna.
No. No. So rent to own is no. It's well, in this market it doesn't exist.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about that right now. I would say, we got a super chat, so that might be our last one. But let me say, for rent to own in Atlanta, a lot of people are using rent to own to do like cash offers because they'll allow you to put up their cash to buy the property and buy it back from them. But you have to be, and it's called Divvy, at least here. It's become popular for that, but you don't want to be in a long-term rent to own situation with Divvy because you're paying all those fees, and you'd have to read the fine print on any in any of those offers. So our last question is going to be this super chat, you guys. Hopefully it's a good question.
Now we might stick on if somebody else gives another super chat.
Yeah, if you got another super chat, we got let us know. We might need to do that. All right, so thank you for the super chat. Let me see the question. Willing to pay for it has been my issue. I have a pre-qualification letter and down payment assistance, but sellers are wanting over asking price. I don't want to be on the hook for the appraisal gap. All right. I'll take the first part of this. Yes. Okay. So let me see. When a seller lists their property for sale, they're usually, and they decide on the price, they're usually looking at whatever, the recent sales in the neighborhood, that sort of thing. That's how they're coming to their price. What makes their price go up is the market, because the market is really going to determine what their house is worth. So if multiple people, just the same way, if you had toilet paper during the pandemic and it was hard to find and only one store had it, they could probably pay double for that. They could probably charge double for that toilet paper because they're the only person that has it, right? It's almost like an auction situation for that toilet paper because it's in low supply. So the market is going to determine that price, and you, Vi, have to determine what you're willing to pay. So even, look at the asking price. It might be, say, $300,000, right? But if you see that there are multiple people, like in Raleigh, North Carolina, an agent posted a video and had all of these cars, the street was full. That house is going to get multiple offers. Now you have to say, okay, what do I think that house is worth? How badly do I want that house? Okay, because somebody's going to want it maybe a little bit more than you, and they're looking and they're saying, I'll pay, $50,000 over the asking price. I'll pay $75,000 over the asking price. So you can't limit yourself by the asking price. A lot of times that asking price is a starting point.
Yeah.
Like that's where you need to start from. And you have down payment assistance. You're already in a that's almost a negative, right? You already have a disadvantage, especially if your pre-qualification letter says, remember Sir Ashley was saying about those overlays, they have to a lot of times with down payment assistance, you got to go through your lender and the down payment assistance company to get approved. So you're like a double, that's a double risk. That's a risk for that seller to accept your offer. And you only come in at asking price, and you want down payment assistance, and you want to pay no appraisal gap. That's not a good offer in general. If there's competition, now if there's a house that's been sitting over there for a month, then you might be able to come with that kind of offer. But if you want the same thing that a lot of other people want, there's going to be competition for that.
I would have to agree. And what I would recommend or point you to is, I don't know what market you're in, or if your agent is able to do this, you would like to find off-market properties. Because in your situation, if the house is on the market, it's going to get, more than likely, I'm assuming, you're going to get multiple offers, and it's going to go over asking price. So you want to find something that hasn't hit the market yet. That way there's no competition, and you're able to work something out with the seller beforehand to where they're not really looking down on your down payment assistance or not wanting to pay the over asking price or anything like that, because nobody else knows about this property just yet. It's just you and the seller working out all the details.
Okay, good answer. So we gave you some things. People are asking where we're licensed. I'm only licensed in Georgia. I do have a link if you need a referral. But where are you licensed, Sir Ashley?
Yes, I am licensed in North and South Carolina.
Okay, good. So
and have team members throughout both states.
So
I'm in the Charlotte area. I can help you personally, but team members throughout all of North Carolina and South Carolina, we can get you a home.
Okay, yeah, and then if you need a referral, I'm sure you can reach out to either one of us, and maybe we can refer you to somebody. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's where we're licensed. Thank you for asking. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. All right, I've been with you. Let me see. I've been good to have you join this evening. You've linked with the best. Thank you, Justin. We're the best together. I appreciate that.
No, I'm not even gonna lie. I got giddy when I saw the email from you.
Yes. Okay, let me let you know how YouTube collabs go, right? You have to, I'm like, okay, what's your email? You just email them and say, do you want to do a collab with me? I'm going to do this week of live streams. And I was like, let me put my name in there because I don't assume that people know me. So I was like, let me put my name in the subject. And I put collab with Shahida Hill. And maybe he'll Google me and be able to find me. So that's how
I knew who you were. I knew who you were. No, I knew who you were. I was excited. I was I was giddy when I saw the email. I was like, of course, yes, let's do it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribing to his channel. You're liking this live stream. And I think we're good. But we told you how to reach us. All of that information will be in the description. Please join me tomorrow for Ask Me Anything. And join Sir Ashley. What's your next video coming out? What video should they be watching of yours?
Come Friday, I will give an update regarding the housing market, just the various things. I typically, once every 2 weeks, give an update as far as what has been taking place in the housing market and real estate market as a whole, and money and how it impacts the housing market and how your offer needs to be presented.
Yes. Okay. You gotta have some money in this market. You gotta have some money, or the off, like you said, off market. And to me, you need to make sure your agent knows how to find off market deals for you, because it's really about, I think he said this before, relationships. Who do they know? Who do they know? Like, I'm telling you, I had to go like to these networking events for them to know who Shahida Hill was around. And then my offer started getting accepted.
Exactly.
And I went to this, like, it was like what do you call it? It was like something sponsored by the lender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had given, we were passing around cards and stuff. And I gave an agent my card, and she was like, "Oh, that name sounds familiar. Like, who's gonna forget Shahida?" And she was like, "How do I know you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you didn't accept my offer 2 months ago." when, I said it just like that. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah." But I kid you not, she listed a house the next month. And I emailed her and I said, "Remember me from the, the event, the mortgage event?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "My client really wants this house." She was like, "It's done. I'm submitting it to my client," that sort of thing. That's how these off market and these kind of deals happen behind the scenes. You
Relationships,
need to make sure your agent is connected.
Relationships work. And real quick, I know we're about to go. Be very particular on who you hire as an agent, because a lot of people join real estate as an agent the last 2-3 years because it was the thing to do. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right. But just make sure that they're active in the market and know what's going on and have relationships. It doesn't have to be long relationships, but make sure they have relationships established so they can put you in the best position possible.
Okay. Because please believe, I'll be like, "I'm Shahida Hill from YouTube." I'm Shahida Hill from YouTube. Accept my client's offer. So whatever you got to use, you got to have. I'm Sir Ashley. Here's a YouTube link. And
exactly.
They feel like the more you legitimize your business with the seller and that listing agent, they're like, okay, she's probably not going to play around, because they don't want to accept an offer that client's going to terminate, or that their financing is going to fall through. So they're almost, not only do they need to trust the offer, they almost have to trust the agent as well, and know that they are, are not putting trash out there.
Exactly.
And, the offer is going to go through.
I agree.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everyone. Thank you, Sir Ashley, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. And the replay will be on my channel. I am going to link everything about Sir Ashley's channel in the description. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you again, Sir Ashley. You have a good night.
You're welcome. Have a good night.